All right, so I just spent 160 hours in Horizon Forbidden West on the PS5, and I want to talk about it for a little bit. This is the very first of my kind of game thoughts. I won't be able to do these very frequently because I like to treat games like I read books. I like to go through them and experience the story for all it's worth, take my time playing through it, and get through it. So I'm going to treat this like we do our movie thoughts. Let's watch one of the trailers. This is a story trailer, and I know I'm late to the game. This game came out in like 2022, so at least a couple of years ago. But here it is, and so hopefully, as I go through some of these games and experience them, I'll give you my 2 cents, and whether I believe they're worth playing or not. We'll take it from there. So why don't we skip over to the trailer and just to kind of give ourselves a little bit of a remembrance of what we came out with. So let's start with from there.
I'm running out of time, Elizabeth. The land is dying. People are suffering. Soon.
This is actually my first time watching this trailer in probably like 2 years.
And the machines meant to help us are out of control. I have to find a way to fix it all. And the answer is somewhere out in the Forbidden West.
Such a beautiful landscape environment.
In the West, war is the rule. Peace, the exception. The rebel leader, Regala, seeks to slaughter all those who've wronged her. She will kill anyone who gets in her way. They say she answers to a higher power. He supplied
Regala
her with troops,
voiced.
weapons,
Well, we'll get into that.
even the ability to control machines. Machines of war.
Whatever secrets he has, he's keeping to himself. And the solution I need is broken and scattered. Everywhere I look, things are falling apart. I don't know if I can find a way forward. Like Elizabeth did.
All by yourself? Ha! No
He's
way.
great.
I'll be careful and...
We're coming with you.
So that's the story trailer.
We will find the answers. But beware.
Gaia.
We're not the only ones who seek them.
All right, cool.
PlayStation.
PlayStation. Yeah. So the let's start off with
Aloy just got these awesome new tools in Burning Shores DLC.
sorry about that. So why don't we start off with the voice actors in this? So we've got Ashley Birch, who is reprising her role as Aloy, and she is she's done lots of different voice acting. She's also done some TV, some YouTube. I think she got started in the early YouTube days, and she kind of, to me, represents this interesting kind of generation of the early YouTubers that are kind of like going mainstream, whatever that means. But we also do have some, seasoned film and TV actors like Angela Bassett, voicing Regala, Lance Reddick, coming back to voice Silence, Carrie Ann Moss, who voices Tilda. Anyway, so there's lots of people, and there's just so many. I could go down the list, but you could go to IMDb and check it out if you're interested into seeing all of the different really great voice actors that worked in this. It's such an interesting thing to say, like, voice actors, because they're actors. It's yes, they lend their voice, but they also lend their actual acting. So it's not just voice acting. They're going in and they're acting out these parts. They're getting motion captured. They're getting facial captured. So their expressions are being used. So they're really actors at the end of the day. But anyways, getting past the voice actors part of it, the performances were really, really great in this, and I was a huge fan of the first one. I really loved this kind of juxtaposition of this future world that's kind of has gone so far into the future, it's gone into the past, and they're kind of pulling up all of these remnants of the past, which is kind of like our future. So it's kind of a cool world to live in, and we've got these robot AI versions of animals and monsters or whatever, creatures, dinosaurs, things like that, that have kind of taken over. And Aloy represents a character who in the very first game has kind of come up, and she was an outsider as a Nora, and had found this little device, the focus, that she could tap into all of the knowledge from the past, which is the future, and kind of ties into that. And so she has a leg up on a lot of things because of her access to the information and lots of other things, being a descendant of Elizabeth Sobek, who is one of the main scientists as part of this project. So we can go into the plot in the story. I don't technically like to do that. What I really just want to do is I want to talk about my experience in this game, and actually kind of both of the games, to put it together, kind of how I played it. We'll go into like what I liked, what I didn't like, and things like that. And we'll take it from there. Like I said, I spent 160 hours, and I just finished this last night. I played this game on my PS Portal. I have played it on my Quest 3. I've played it a little bit on my phone, on my iPad, obviously on the PS5, all streaming through the PS5. I played on the PS5. I played it on my projection screen, like all different formats, just kind of working my way through this game. And it really kept me engaged. I tended to kind of stick to the main storyline and the side quests, and kind of get through that, because a lot of the story elements of the side quests are super interesting, and they're very engaging. And I don't technically want to speed run through the game just to kind of get, I don't want to do this just to get a review out. I want to experience it just like anybody else would, play through it how I normally would play through it, and then we'll come back and do these kinds of things. So the world, the environment is super beautiful. I love exploring all of the different elements. It's open world enough to where there's lots of different side quests, errands to run. Different there's rebel camps that you kind of have to go through, and free, and weapon systems to build up, and items to craft, and things to find, little nuggets of the lore and the history, and it's all super engaging in that way. And this really reminds me of, I remember when I was playing Horizon Zero Dawn, it really reminds me of like PlayStation's answer to Zelda, in a sense, obviously mixed in with a little bit of other things in the way that PlayStation does, but it feels like they definitely took a lot of inspiration. It seems, anyways, to me from the Zelda world, especially like something like Breath of the Wild. There's a lot of similar mechanics in Horizon Forbidden West, and I found that really fascinating. I thought that it I think it's a great inspiration to borrow from, beg, borrow, steal from, and the game's director is the same director as the first game, Matthias de Jong from the Netherlands, and they're over there at Guerrilla Studios, and so the consistency from the first game to the second game obviously is good, and the expansion of the story is really good. To rate one of them versus the other, obviously the first game, I really loved the relationship between Aloy and Rost, and it was very heartwarming. And it also gave you this, foundation to follow Aloy through her character progression through the story of how her comeuppance. The second game does an expansion of the world, and there are definitely some great character moments, and story beats in it. I almost wished, though, and get into a little bit of spoiler territory because I'm not sure how to not get into it, but I almost wished that there was maybe some more tie-ins to Rost. There was a little bit, but I don't know. I don't know how that would have worked in the storyline, but I think I just really missed that kind of foundational root. But there's another tie-in to Aloy, and it's in this in this other character of Beta. So that was an interesting departure. That was an interesting kind of through line, and also further the story, introduce all these new characters that were really, really cool. And I don't want to give that away. We'll kind of like we'll kind of gloss over it, because if you haven't played this game, I do recommend it. I think you start from the first one, and play through it. And it feels like Sony is doing. This seems like a tentpole item for Sony. It seems like this is something that they are going to keep making more of. I didn't get a chance to play the PSVR 2 game, which I really do hope to when I get a PSVR 2. That's what I just don't have one yet. But when I do, this will be probably one of the first games that I do play on it, because I love the world of it. The game mechanics are a lot of fun too. There's a lot of varying elements and a bit of strategy as an action RPG. I guess you can consider this game, where you get to, like I said, you get to item craft, you get to build up your current items, there's lots of different weapons and outfits and looks to choose from. So that makes it a lot of fun as a mechanic to go through and figure out what your strategy is, what you like to do, whether you like melee or you like, obviously there is a lot of, shooting, bows and arrows and all kinds of cool gadgets, bombs and traps and things like that to set up. But one thing I do like is that there is kind of a semi-strategy, as every robot that you encounter has different weaknesses. And so learning about each of the weaknesses that they have, whether they are weak to plasma, acid, electricity, water, you start building up lots of different weapon systems. So that way, when you scan the robots, you figure out which weapons to use in real time. And then you go through your radial menu and you choose the right weapons that you want to use to do that, or you don't, or you bulldoze your way through it, make it harder on yourself. But there is a good real-time strategy to figuring out which items to use, and it does vary up what you decide to use. You get to, figure out whether you're going to, melee certain weapons, you're going to sneak up on certain characters, you're going to, you can take over eventually once you kind of go through the cauldrons. You can unlock ways to take over the robots, whether you can make them defensive or offensive and have them attack other robots. So there's lots of really good strategy to use in this. There's some really cool flying-ish mechanics, and especially one of the things that reminds me of something like Breath of the Wild is there is this like which I really it was a lot of fun to use, is this like guiding, like this gliding shield that lets you get from really high places to the lower places very quickly, but also gives you kind of a moment to just kind of like soar through the world just for a little bit, and it's really cool. So these games are a lot of fun. I also have the art book from from Horizon Zero Dawn. There was a bit of me that wanted to do some like fan fiction, and maybe one day I'll write some fan fiction stories and post them up online, and we'll see. But it's a world that I love. They're characters that I think are super engaging, and it's a lot of fun. So yeah, so definitely a recommend. Let's see. Are there any other things that I want to kind of go over? There's I guess the technical aspects of playing this game through all my different devices was really smooth, because I think everything streamed from the PS5. So I didn't feel like that there was any loss. I have some good memories too of this game, of like playing with my 2-year-old son, and he loved watching me play. I think he liked the dinosaurs, and it's a very colorful, vibrant world, so there wasn't anything like disturbing imagery or anything like that I had to be aware of. Like I don't know if I'd play like Demon Souls or Bloodborne with him just yet, because we'll get there, but not yet. I would love to play side by side with him, but it's a great game for him to experience as well, in that aspect. So yeah, so there you have it. I'll keep it quick and short, and I will go into other games as I complete them. These won't be as frequent as I do the movie ones, for obvious reasons. I want to make sure I give these a fair shake. There's no rating systems on there. There's are there things that kind of like bump? Sure, in a game as big as this, there's going to be some hiccups. This one was very smooth throughout as I was playing it, and granted, this is like 2 years later, and I played this just recently over the last 160 hours, playing for an hour or two at a time. So it took me a few months to get through, and I didn't notice anything that was not fixed, jarring. It was a very smooth gameplay, so very well polished, and yeah. So that's my game thoughts on Horizon Forbidden West. I definitely recommend, if you're into action RPGs, if you're into large world builds like or world experiences like something like Zelda or The Witcher. Obviously a little bit more tame. Great characters, good motivations, and great score. A very iconic score. So yeah, give it a shot if you have a PS4 or a PS5, and you have access to the game. Also, it's on PC now, and so if you can experience it on that, great. So yeah. All right. If you made it this far, thank you. And if you're into this kind of content and also the movie thoughts, and I have some tech thoughts, I'm getting ready to do another one soon on some really fun developments with Meta and the 2D space with HDMI in and stuff. So we'll be talking about that one pretty soon. So consider liking, subscribing, and all that kind of stuff. And we'll see you on the next one. All right.